Good evening, everybody. My name is Corporal Gabriel Casista. I'll be training officer for this TCCC course. My general bio is I'm a real-time paramedic in Quebec for a year now. I'm also Canadian. I've been in the Canadian forces for 4 years as an infantryman, and now I'm a medical technician in the Canadian forces for 6 months now. This training that I'm gonna give, it's specific for the CMS script, which is the same thing that we use in Armored 2. This one is specifically made for Armored 3. It's gonna be what we're gonna use until the CMS version 3, which is being made by Global Production. Came out. It's in the work. We're gonna have it, but for now we're using this one. It's like an improved version of the one that we use in Armored 3, in Armored 2. With this formation, you're gonna have to download a document that's gonna be on the TeamSpeak of the 70 MBG. This document is a guideline for any medical personnel or TCCC personnel within this unit. This guideline is specifically made for CMS. A similar guideline has been made for another script that we use, which is BTC5. We don't use it anymore, but it might happen that we use it. So the other guideline is there. We only train people to use CMS for now. And if we go back to BTC, we're gonna have another training to go through. Both written guidelines are made in French and English because since we are a Canadian unit, we want to train every people to be able to understand how they do medical stuff. For the past month, use CMS script to react to physical injuries sustained during battles. We get pretty close to what we're supposed to use in real life. And it's a fairly user-friendly system that we're going to use. The course is going to be divided in 3 parts. The first one's going to be more of a theoretical aspect, where I'm going to go through some concepts that I want to explain to everybody. The second part is going to be more of a technical part, where you're going to learn how to do the thing properly within the system. And the last part is going to be pretty quick. We're going to go over the trucks that we have specifically for medical that we're going to use within 70 MBG. I'm going to go with a bit of what's written in the protocol that I've written. Okay, we're gonna start with some concepts that are usually left from basic training, because since we're going for medical, we're going for realism. I want to really put knowledge. I don't want to train people to just do something because I told them to do so. I want the people to be able to learn and know what they're doing. And if, for instance, I go around and ask a TCCC, okay, why do you give him epinephrine? You're going to be able to tell me it's because his blood pressure was too low, his pulse was too low, and he lost a large amount of blood. So I start him an IV and I push some epinephrine to back his vital sign. I want the people that's going to go for medical be able to tell me what they're doing and why they're doing it. I don't want to have robots that are just going to go ahead and do what they have been told to do. Good.
Form on me.
First concept is what we call the ABC concept. Is the way that you're gonna approach the patient. What you want to check first, what you want to check second, what you want to check last. The standard procedures for a patient that's conscious and awake. You want to check his airways. So the way that the airflow through nose/mouth to the lungs, the actual action of breathing, which is the B, which is breathing, and circulation, which is the circulation of blood in the system. You can see the human body like a big hydraulic system. If you lose blood, if you lose the liquid that's in the hydraulic part of the system, you're going to lose pressure. And more pressure you lose, less your system's going to be effective. The more the pump, which is your heart, going to have to work hard, and more likely you're going to pass out / die.
2, form on me.
That's the first concept. Everybody that receive basic first aid in real life, that's done the Red Cross course, or the Heart and Stroke Foundation course, they already have those information. If you want to go more in detail in those things, I'm asking you to ask me later, because I want to compress the time the more possible for the second concept that I want to explain is pulse, and what is it? The pulse is a mean of analysis of the cardiac performance of a patient. The standard for a healthy human is between 70 and 100. Within this system, we encoded that if the heart rate goes under 50 or over 120, it starts to be dangerous for the patient. His condition is going to start to decrease and become more precarious, the blood pressure goes higher than 120, or lower than 70. Third concept that I want to speak about is about another vital sign, which is the blood pressure. Blood pressure is the actual pressure of the blood going through the veins within all the body. The body is a closed circuit, so it contains a certain amount of cc's of blood. Cc's is the same thing as a milliliters. If you start bleeding, you're gonna lose some. Your BP gonna likely drop. The blood pressure is expressed in BP for shortening, so it's gonna be quicker to be able to say it. A normal blood pressure is 120 on 80 for a healthy human being. Within this system, we only use the systolic, which is the first number of the equation. It's considered critical if the patient goes under 60 or higher than 200. The why it's dangerous if it goes higher than 200, it's because there is little veins everywhere in the bodies, and if your blood pressure goes over 200, there's a large chance that the blood vessel is going to rupture, and there's going to be hemorrhagic all throughout your body. And if it happens, for instance, in your heart, your lungs, or your brain, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do for you, because at that point, for instance, if you use hemorrhage in the brain, right now 4%, we can say 4% of the people that do an hemorrhage in the brain. So if it happened in the middle of a battlefield, well, it's pretty much over.
2, form on me.
The fifth thing that I want to explain, it's a bit of how the body gonna decompensate from blood loss, and it's called the hemorrhagic shock, or the triad of hemorrhage. I'm not gonna go in depth in it, because it's a thing that you're supposed to learn in paramedic school, and it's usually in the Canadian Forces medical technician receive those information. But for this unit, we don't have medical technician. We got TCCCs, because we want to have the guys on the field that gonna be able to fight. So I have to give a little more information. If you want more information of what I'm saying, once again, just ask me afterwards. I'm gonna go in depth within that. Triad of hemorrhage. It's really easy. You can see it as a triangle. And the first point, you got the bleeding itself. On the second point, you got the loss of volume, which is the loss of blood. And when you lose volume, you're gonna go towards the last point, which is increased heart rate, because your heart is gonna try to rebuild pressure, and that's gonna mean more bleeding. So more you go, more your heart gonna increase, you're gonna bleed more, you're gonna lose more blood, and so on and so on. So if you don't stop the bleeding, you're gonna start losing more blood, and you're gonna finally die. Okay, that's it for what I wanted to say about medical concept, more of a biology concept. Now I'm gonna speak about what's a TCCC and the different type of care that the TCCC is going to be asked to provide throughout this year. The TCCC, or Tactical Combat Casualty Care personnel, is intended to treat potentially preventable cause of death on the battlefield, but acknowledge that the application of these treatments may place the provider or even the mission in jeopardy if performed at the wrong time. So that's why TCCC's got 3 what we call phase of care that's going to have to be followed throughout mission that we're going to do. There are 3 objectives for TCCC, which is treat the patient, prevent further casualties, and complete the mission. They are all united together, and you can use this principle as providing the right medicine at the right time. If you don't go by that, you're gonna miss your train, and either your patient gonna die, or someone else in the team is gonna be wounded, and your task gonna be more critical, or even you're gonna be injured or killed in action. There are 3 phases of care, as I said before. Those 3 phases of care are as follows: the care on the fire, the tactical field care, and the tactical evacuation care. The care on the fire is the first one. You can use the acronym CUF for it. It's the situation where active combat is still going on. So you're doing an advance on an enemy position, you get shot at, the pointman got hit, he's down. What you're gonna want to do is it's to win the firefight, because a TCCC is first. The TCCC is gonna be first a rifleman and afterwards a medical personnel, because you're operating on 2 worlds. So at first, what you're gonna want to do is to win the firefight, or if a superior or someone else tell you to do it, or if you feel safe enough to do it, only medical act that you can do during care on the fire, it's either to apply a tourniquet for massive hemorrhage, or put the patient in recovery position if the airway is obstructed. In the version of CMS that we have now, we don't have anything for airway management. Okay? If the patient is unconscious, it's going to be unconscious. You're not going to be able to do anything about that. So it's going to come later. It's another version. And each person that's going to have their TCCC, when we're going to get into more advanced with airways and things like that, we're going to bring you back, we're going to reform you, and you're going to have the new version. Just like in real life for any medical personnel, each so and so forth, you're going to need to go back to school to learn the new stuff. So it's really important that in care under fire, you're not going to start treating the patient. You're gonna just put a tourniquet, which is gonna maybe or maybe not cut the flow of blood from his injuries, and you're gonna win the firefight. If the patient is too wounded and he bleed out because of this wound while you're winning the firefight, it's sad. It's really sad, but that person is KIA, dead. Okay? It happened. It's gonna still happen in the future, and it's a part of what is it to do battlefield medicine. If the guy is dead, you're gonna assess it. You're gonna say, okay, this guy is dead. You're gonna relay the information to your superior, and you're gonna move on. Second part of the field care is the tactical field care. This is the place where the core of the TCCC job is going to be. This is the point of your care when the fight has been won, or the enemy stops shooting. You're not under effective hostile fire anymore. You it's going to be fairly safe for you to start doing medical things to your patient. Keep in mind that each situation is not rock solid. When you're working in the medical field, you're always in the gray zone. Nothing's black, nothing's white. You're always in the middle. Anything can change super fast. Anything can move. So always be prepared to move back to care under fire or speed the tactical evacuation. Other thing that you have to keep in mind is that the tactical field care, it's equipment limited, and it's limited to what the team is able to do. So if you if the guy is too wounded and you don't have the supplies to bring him back, don't try to bring him back. Just call for an evacuation. Try to keep him stable until the choppers or until the chopper arrive, or when tech med with an ambulance come in, grab the guy and just go back to bring. The tactical figure, as I said, is where you're going to be really important, where you're going to have to do a lot of treatment. And the last part of it is what we call the tactical evacuation care. That's where the patient's going to be evacuated to medical treatment facilities or a vehicle by a vehicle, an aircraft or boat. And that part may include the need to dedicate someone to go with the patient. If, for instance, it's a chopper that come in, but they don't have anybody that's medical trained on board, it's going to be the teacher posted that's going to get in the chopper to keep the patient stable from the pickup point while the LZ to the hospital, where the medical personnel there are going to be able to stabilize the patient and either bring him back to combat effectiveness, or send him to have more to have a more in-depth medical. As I said, it's important to know that in an hostile environment, those phases are fluid. They can change, and they're very dynamic with what's going on. Okay, that's more of that was really the concept that I wanted to explain.
Right.
Now we're going to move towards more of a technical aspect of the job. We're going to go with the things that are prior to go on the field. And it's gonna, I'm gonna go on what the job is. We're gonna have two phases. We're gonna have the things to do prior on field, and the other part is gonna be what's gonna be your job, specifically on the mission or in training exercise. Okay, we're gonna start with before you leave for the mission. It's gonna be more of a technical aspect of what you need. What's your job, what you want to check out. So first of all, it's required with CMS to bind your use action key 20 to a key of your preference. As standard, myself, I use the H key from my keyboard because it's not in use in Armor 3, but you're gonna have to find a key that fits you, that you're able to use it as your convenience, because as a teacher procedure, you're going to use it a lot because it's the core of your job. After that, this is more a user interface thing. This is ready. The other thing that's really going to be important, it's going to be your loadout. Your loadout's going to be affected by either what's your section command or the pilot for air crews wants. With CMS for now, each medical action costs you one first aid kit. So, for instance, you have 20 first aid kit on you. You have to patch up a guy that's really bad wounded, and you need a lot of treatment on him. I'm pretty sure that you're not gonna have any more afterwards. To do more critical stuff, you're gonna need a med kit. The med kit's not gonna disappear because it's a thing that's gonna always stay on you. But it's gonna be important to have one in your backpack when you're gonna do medical stuff, because only people with medkits can do more applied things. to the patient. A standard TCCC loadout is supposed to comprise one med kit and around 20 to 35 first aid kit. I suggest person to have first aid kit on their body armor, because if they have to ditch their backpack, they're gonna still be able to do medical stuff underground. There's other things that are important. I'm gonna go back in game, show you. I laid out before you a couple of equipment that's gonna be standard, that's gonna be imported. At first, you got the med kit. That's the orange pouch, the yellow pouch that we have there. This is what you use each time you use medical thing. That pouch. Second thing that you're gonna want to have on you is a specialty for TCCC. You're gonna have a 148 radio that's gonna be on channel 2, which is the platoon net radio. Because if you have to relay a 9-liner Casevac, that's gonna come later in another formation, you're gonna need that radio. The third thing that's really important to have on you, it's the big green bag with the medic symbol on it. This is what we call the med kit. That's what's gonna make you. That's gonna give you the action to actually do more advanced stuff. And the final thing that's really important to have on you, it's 1 or 2 purple smoke grenade, because those are to mark medical LZs for Casevac. And you have the medical backpack, which is things that you're gonna have to have on you, because with the red cross on the back, that designate you as a medic. It's gonna make it easier for people to know that you're the TCCC or the medic on field. So if someone's wounded, they're gonna come to you. You're gonna be able to do the medical, your medical protocols on it. Very important that you keep also standard rifleman loadout on you, more of the possible. And if it's gonna be up to your section command or your officers to tell you yes or no, you're probably loaded before you go on mission. Now we're gonna switch to what you're supposed to do during a mission. As I said earlier, keep in mind that the TCCC is part of 2 groups. One being his first occupation is either infantry or flight crew, because this course is standard for infantry or people from air detachment. And the second is being a medical personnel. It's not like a medical technician, which is his first job is to be a medical personnel, and his second job is to be an your primary role is to perform your infantry duty. Second role is to keep everybody healthy and not wounded. Okay, the first most critical part for myself, what I say, is the approach on the patient. For myself, I say it's always the most critical part, because it's when and where you can see the status of your patient. If in that game, the game is greatly built, because if you go towards your patient, if he's bleeding, you're gonna see blood on the floor, and probably you're gonna see blood on where he's wounded. So if someone's got shot in the legs, his leg gonna be bleeding, you're gonna be able to see where the shot has been. And if the guy said he's wounded and he's not bleeding from the leg or the arm, you can suspect that the bleeding is either internal or it's been hit and the bullet passed through his body armor or his helmet and is bleeding from there. So the first part is reaching your patient is the more critical, because you can see what's going on. You can see if your patient is either conscious and awake, the way that he stands, or if he's on the ground. You can see if your patient lost a lot of blood, because it's gonna start pooling around his body, and you can see what's going on around him. So if the guy is, for instance, under a ladder and he's unconscious on the ground, gonna be like, oh, maybe he was going down this ladder and he fell down. So you're gonna be able to suspect what type of injury he's gonna have, or if he is in a big open field. and people tell you, well, we were advancing and there was an explosion, you can say for yourself, oh, we're in the fucking middle of a minefield. So we're gonna call the engineer, and you're gonna bring the engineer with you here. It's not a minefield that you're running into. We're gonna use what we call, what I call a March protocol, which is an order in which the gonna assess the patient. The March protocol is something that we use in real life. I tried to port it the best I could into CMS. You cannot do any things of that natures, but it's pretty close to of what we're gonna be able to do when the full CMS is gonna be released, not just the training version that we have right now. The March protocol go as follows. March is for an acronym from MARC. It's an acronym. It goes as follows. The M is for massive hemorrhage control, which means either tourniquet or pack-in dresses, package dressing. The A is for airway management. As I said earlier, we don't have any airway management things right now. It's gonna come. Respiratory management. There again, we don't have it yet, but it's gonna come. Circulation, we have that. So that's where it's gonna start. So we're gonna have the M, which is control the hemorrhage with tourniquet or packing dressing. Then we're gonna skip to the C with circulation, with bleeding control, where we're gonna control the bleeding to be sure that the patient is not bleeding anymore. And intravenous/intraosseous access. Fluid resuscitation, which is gonna mean putting fluid inside our patient with IV access. And tourniquet assessment to see if the tourniquet that we put and the bandage that we put are still in place and the patient's not bleeding anymore. Hypothermia, head injury, eye injuries are not going to be effective yet, but they're going to come with the next version. And the last E is everything else. So you're going to monitor your patient, see how he's going, the pain, check head to toe again to be sure that you don't miss any spot. Address all wounds. Antibiotics, we don't have it. We don't have it yet. Tactical evacuation preparation. This is really important to prepare your patient to be airlifted or ground lifted back to a medical facility. And the one that I, for myself, say it's the most important is the documentation of care. It's the last thing that you do, but for myself, I think it's the most important as a paramedic in real life and medical technician. Because when I arrive on scene, I wasn't there. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what's the treatment applied to that patient. So if you give me a patient and I don't know anything about it, I'm gonna have to redo everything that you've done again. So it's gonna cost me a lot of time. It might cost the life of the patient. So the documentation of care, it's very important. It's to write down what happened, well, a brief story of what happened, really, really brief, the treatment that you've given, and the vital sign of the patient. I don't want to have his name. I don't want to have his age. I don't want to have I don't want to have his service number because I'm gonna have time to do it when I'm gonna bring him back to the hospital. But I want to know what's going on and what the treatment has been applied. Okay. An algorithm. An algorithm chart will be provided to you. I'm in the works of making one. It's gonna come in. I'm really sorry, it's not ready for this training. So now we're going to move into a more practical part. So Junkie, if you want to get close to me, I'm going to be able to show the medical interface for everybody. Tell me when you're ready.
All right.
Okay.
I have the medical interface up.
Good. You're supposed to have my name on top. You're going to have a square on your right side. You're going to have a circle of options. I'm going to go through each option. Usually I go through that in the BMQ with the the basic first aid, but I'm going to go ahead again because I don't know if you used it a lot and you're proper with it. The drag option is when somebody is critically wounded and he's unconscious. You're going to use that to drag / transport / load someone inside the truck. Examine button on it, if you click on it, you're going to have 4 categories that's going to pop up. You're going to have head, body, arm, leg. When you click on each of them, it's going to change the name over the black square on the right side of your screen. Each of these, in this box, it's going to say the type of injuries and if there is bleeding. It's going to be really important to select, like, for instance, and click on head. Be sure that it says head over the square before apply a bandage or direct pressure or a certain treatment. Because if I don't do so, I'm not going to apply, it's not going to apply the treatment at the good place. So you want to be sure to apply, if the guy's wounded in his head, you want to be sure that it's head written over the black square. So that's for examine.
2, fall back.
The other box is check response. If you click on it, it's gonna give you either two type of answer. It's gonna give you responsive and awake, which means that the guy is there fully, can respond to you, and is not in shock. And you got the other answer, which is not responsive, which means that the patient is unconscious, so he might be in shock right now. So he's passed out. The other option that you want to click on is check vitals. When you click on check vitals, it's gonna give you 2 values. The first one, if I remember correctly,
Very strong pulse.
a very strong pulse. Did you take a medic slot?
Yes, I did.
Okay, it's not supposed to do that. Fucked up. Okay, it's supposed to give you 2 values. The first one is the blood pressure that's gonna come out, and the second one's gonna be the heart rate. Your blood pressure is gonna be the highest number, which is the systolic, and the heart rate is gonna be standard values within this game.
Wait, no. I have a grenadier position. That's why it's not showing.
Okay. So it's another thing that I forgot to say before you log into the game. It's really important to take a medic slot if you're a TCCC, because the script is put on specific position within the game. So if you don't have the script enabled on your person while you're giving the game, when you're in the game, you're not going to be able to do medical stuff. You're going to be able to do basic first aid, but you're not going to be able to do teach. So when you're going to have that enabled, you're going to be able to see standard values. So you're going to have 120 on blood pressure and heart rate of 70. That's the standard. It's going to be important to document it. Like you're gonna need a piece of paper or something like that to write it down, because we want to have the first vital signs. So the first blood pressure and the first heart rate that you have, and your last one before you give it to me. Okay. Okay. The other thing under vital sign, now you're not going to be able to, it's called triage card. This is another information I'm going to have to give you because I had a PowerPoint ready for that. But since I'm French, it's in French, so I'm going to have to build another one in English for everybody to be able to understand what I'm saying when I'm going to give the PowerPoint. So it's going to come in probably a week. I'm going to have it up. I'm going to grab everybody that's TCCC and I'm gonna give them the formation.
Okay.
On the other side of the crescent, you're gonna have bandage. When you click on that, you're gonna have 3 options that's gonna be available for you.
I got 4.
Got 4? Oh, you got stitching too?
Yes.
That's because we're close to a medical truck or a medical facility.
Okay.
You're gonna see beside the on your dial, the left side of the dial, it's more of a examine part of the systems where you're going to be able to see what's going on with the patient.
Right.
And the right side is going to be more of a treatment side. So by the side of each possible treatment, you're going to have a number. That's the number of med kit you have on you at the moment. So the 4 treatment that you have there, you got field dressing, packing, bandages, tourniquet, and stitching. Field dressing is a pouch with in that pouch you can use it as an occlusive dressing, where you're gonna block a hole in the lungs before you go to an hospital to get it fixed. It can work as proper dressing for wound, and it can be used as a low efficiency tourniquet. Packing bandage is something that only medics can do. Well, TCCCs, is this. It's going to be putting some bandage inside of the wounds to create pressure on the walls of the wall of the wounds to stop the flow of bleeding. And those bandage got a solution in it, which is hemostatic, which is going to coagulate around it, so it's going to stop the flow of blood to that wound, which is going to mean that the bleeding is going to stop. And you got the tourniquet. The tourniquet, it's only applied on arm and leg, because you're not going to want to put like a tourniquet on the neck of your patient. He's going to die. Tourniquet, it's only for arms and leg, and it's going to cut properly the flow of blood if the guy is really wounded. The way that how I teach it, it's you're going to want to put either a packing bandages if it's a medium or a large wound first, or if it's a small wound, put a field dressing on the wounds, or you apply a tourniquet, because you might be able to stop the bleeding by just applying a field dressing on a small wound or packing bandages on a medium and large wound. If the bleeding still go on, you're going to apply a tourniquet, then resume applying bandages. If you got large wounds on legs and arm often means that there's amputation of the limbs. So you're gonna, if you see large wounds and you apply a tourniquet and the bleeding don't stop, that means, for instance, if you click legs, that means that the guy lost his 2 legs. So you're gonna need to apply 2 tourniquets and start patching up the wounds to stop the bleeding. Once the bleeding has effectively been stopped by the TCCC, it's going to be important to check the vitals of the patient. Because if the guy lost blood, his blood pressure going to drop, his heart rate going to go up. What we're going to learn now is how to start an IV where it's important. TCCC can only give, right now you're supposed to have a couple of well, you don't have, sorry, Jerky, you don't have the IV option because you don't have the TCCC enabled thing. But if you follow the PDF file that I sent for the medical, you're gonna be able to see what I mean, and when you're gonna train, you're gonna be able to see what I mean. Okay. After the bandage is done, as I said, with the vitals of the patient, you're going to be able to see if a course of medication, an IV access is needed. It might be possible that the patient is stable enough that he's not going to need saline, not going to need any blood infusion, is not going to need any medical, any more medical things. It's going to be fight ready, right? The TCCC going to carry with them saline IV bags. Those bags contains 500 cc of NaCl, which is like a salty base water that's going to replace a part of the blood. That's going to be able to bring back blood pressure. It don't replace, not as I've written it in my PowerPoint, it don't replace blood, it only replaces volume. Okay, because in the blood you got cells that carries oxygen around your body. That's make it work.
Right.
The reason why you don't have plasma and blood IV bag on you is because those need to be refrigerated at a medical facility or in a truck. You're gonna have those if you have a medical bison close to you or an helicopter. Now I'm gonna go over why and when you want to use them. The saline IV gonna be needed when the blood pressure of the patient is gonna go down. Gonna plug the patient on an IV. That's gonna bring back their pressure. Don't want to, if the guy's got a pressure of blood pressure of over 100, that the number that you got it's over 100, don't want to start an IV because it's gonna get dangerous for them. Their pressure gonna go too high. Same thing with plasma and blood IV. Now I'm gonna go over the medication. And afterwards, we're going to be almost finished. I'm going to go over the vehicles and the vehicles interface.
Okay.
We have 3 types of medication. This you can see at the Junkie because you got the option in it. But I don't want anybody that's just first aid to use medication. Only TCCCs and TechMed can use it. The first medication that you have, it's epinephrine. Epinephrine is also known as adrenaline. It's a normally in your body, and it's work as a neurotransmitter. Epinephrine got a lot of function in your body. It's regulating the heart rate, the heart rate, and the blood vessel and the air passage diameter within your body, and it's responsible of what we call the fight or flight response. Which means that, when you got in a dangerous situation, that's going to give you the potential to either run for the danger or fight the situation. This is the hormone that's going to do it. It's usually within the body. It's from your kidneys and, well, a part of the kidney. I'm not going to get in depth in it. And in this game, you don't have to calculate the amount that you're gonna give. It's an auto injector. It's gonna do it by itself. You're not gonna have to calculate the amount of epinephrine. The second, medication that you have, it's atropine. Atropine is an extract from some plants. Just to name one, the deadly nightshade. This plant has been used because of his ability to counteract. It's do the opposite of what the epinephrine does. Lower the heart rate, and it's been used within the military because it's been used in the army because it has a potent use against nerve agents and chemical warfare weapon. The last medication we have is morphine. Morphine is a potent opioid. It's an analgesic drug. It's used to relieve patients from severe pain. Usually morphine is from plant extract. It's from opium, as in the name of opioid. We use it to relieve the patient from pain. Keep in mind that this drug, yes, relieve pain, but also lower the heart rate. Gonna make the heart go slower. So if you give too much morphine to a patient, he's gonna die from cardiac arrest. The last thing that they didn't speak about is the CPR. CPR, it's a cardio pneumo resuscitation or something like that. I don't remember. I remember the name in French, but I don't remember the term in English. CPR, everybody know what it is. if the patient is in cardiac arrest, the course that I want people to do is start an IV, saline IV, push one epinephrine and start CPR. Or if you are two, somebody gonna start CPR and the paramedic in lead gonna start an IV and push an epinephrine. When you're gonna push medication, you're always gonna start an IV first because we're gonna use the IV to push the medication in. So, and I didn't talk about what's it called, stitching and the two type of IVs bag and the medkit. So to have that, it's going to be important to be close to one of these that's behind me. This is the medical bison. It's a truck that's been made by one of our own. It's used in the Canadian Forces as an ambulance. We also have in armory the medical Emmet, which is the truck behind me. And we're gonna have the helicopter over there that can be used as medical trucks or medical vehicles. In those vehicles, when you get in, you're gonna be able to have when you press H, you're gonna have a vehicle interface where you're gonna be able to see each person in the truck and examine them, which is gonna give you the same reticle that you had, the same round thing that you have when you were doing when you had your circle. And that truck, you're gonna have the stitching option. You're gonna have two more IV option, which gonna be plasma IV and blood IV, and you're gonna have the medical kit option. The medical kit option, I'm gonna go with it first because it's fairly easy. It's gonna bring the patient back to full health because we cannot simulate like bringing the patient with amputation and everything to send him to Germany. Patch up at the medical hospital. We got the medical kit. The medical kit takes 2 minutes to 5 minutes. Patch the guy up to full health. Where you're gonna be able to be bring back to the front line to continue the mission. When you got the IV option, you got plasma and you got blood. What they do is that saline gonna do 25% effectiveness in bringing back the blood pressure. Plasma gonna bring 50, and blood IV gonna bring 75% of effectiveness. And stitching is the only way that you have to close a wound. So if the guy got a large wound, you're gonna need to stitch him 3 times to be able to close the wound. If it's a small one, it's only 1. If it's a medium, it's 2 times.
Should I get in the back of the other one so I can see what you're talking about? Should I get in the other one so I can see what you're talking about?
Give me a second, I gotta get out. Because if you're close to a medical bison or a medical Emmet or the helicopter, if you're close to one, or a medical facility, which means a building with a medical cross on it or something like that, you're gonna be able to perform those actions. Those are actions that you have to be a medical vehicle or close to a medical facility.
Okay.
So you can do it on me.
Alright, H.
Press H. Bandage, you're gonna have stitching.
Stitching.
An IV option, which you don't have.
Apparently I'm stitching
option, which you don't have, you're gonna have plasma IV. You can give it if you're close someone to the medical facility. Blood IV, you can only give it if you're inside of one.
User disconnected from your channel.
And medical kit, you can give it when you close. So if right now you were wounded, I'm gonna apply a medical kit on you.
Oh.
So your patient gonna roll down. You're gonna start treating the patient. Now it's gonna take 2 to 5 minutes to do. it's variable, like each other treatment, like CPR. I don't know what's the rate that you can do it or not, but what's it called? Got a percentage of chance of make it work or not. It's always moving. It can work or it can fail.
Oh.
So that's it for now.
All right.
That's it for now for the medical system. It's gonna be improved in the further days. If you have any other question about the medical system or the medical stuff in general, or if you want to have more information about medical aspect of the life, you want to have more biology things that you want to ask me or something like that, go ahead. You can get me on PM on Engine, or you can try to get me on just get me on what's it called, TS. So
Okay.
as I said before, I was Corporal Gabriel Casista. I was giving you the CMS TCCC course for 70 MBG. Thank you for your attendance, and gonna talk later for any events in the.
Yes.
So that's it.